Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Foxy New.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather would have been one hell of a fight. And, we're going to dig right into it. And before we do, we'd like to give a special shout out to Sergio Aguilera, and, just for putting us on. And, according to a recent interview that Amir Khan did, in reference to Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, he picked Terence Crawford to beat Errol Spence Jr. in any potential showdown. He credited his power, his speed, his IQ. He gave, Terence Crawford the recognition as the total package. But, he also stated that, it's going to be very hard, to beat Terence Crawford no matter who you are. But one thing he did say, he said, the fighter that I would love, to see is Terence Crawford and Mayweather. What a fight that would be. You got two technical, all-around fighters, and that's a direct quote from Amir Khan. And you know what? He's absolutely right. That would be one hell of a fight. And the one thing that I noticed when we talk about Terence Crawford and we mention Floyd Mayweather in any discussion, you see that people that talk about Floyd Mayweather like he's invincible, like, no one can put up a close fight against Floyd Mayweather, like it's impossible. And, we recognize that Floyd is one of the best fighters of all time. He's one of the greatest fighters we've ever seen. Defensively, he was a genius and a wizard. He always made excellent adjustments, so we would never take anything away from one of the greatest fighters to ever walk the earth in Floyd Mayweather Jr. But we do got to be honest and unbiased about Floyd, like we have to be about everyone else, because if there's something that we do and we do well, is that keep that same energy with everybody. And the one thing we got to do in reference to Floyd is we got to look into his past, and we realize that a Terence Crawford fight would be a lot closer and better than many people would think, because a lot of people would immediately write off Terence Crawford for whatever reason, but he would be no joke for Floyd Mayweather. Let's go back in Floyd's history. You see that Floyd Mayweather, many people felt like he lost his first fight to Jose Luis Castillo. Many people felt like he lost that fight, and he got a gift decision. A clear robbery is how a lot of people feel. I think it was one close fight. I think it could have went either way. That's my personal opinion. But a lot of people feel like Floyd clearly lost that fight. I mean, look, let's just look at the punch stats. I mean, even if you look at the punch stats, you see that, when you look at Luis Castillo, you see that, he had a connect percentage of 46% to Floyd Mayweather's 44%. And he outlanded Floyd Mayweather 173 shots to 66. So he put in a lot of clean, sharp work on Floyd. And a lot of those rounds were very, very close. It was very good work. And you also got to remember that Luis Castillo was the champion in the first fight. So Floyd would have needed to beat him clearly and concisely to take that belt. And as close as that fight was, it just didn't make sense for Luis Castillo to walk away as a loser. That's just my personal opinion. And if you look at what HBO had, the ring analysis and scoring expert Harold Letterman, he stated that, Luis Castillo had a wide margin of victory. He gave him 115, 111, but the judges that night saw it completely different. You see two judges, had it 116, 111, and another judge had it 115, 111. So, it was a very controversial fight, left a lot of people scratching their heads at that kind of decision. It didn't make a lot of sense, but we saw the type of work that Luis Castillo put in. We saw how he outlanded Floyd, how his connect percentage was better. So to think that Terence Crawford would have no chance just doesn't make sense to me. And you also see that, guys like Lady Lotta, a lot of people felt like he could have beat Mayweather. He kept calling out Floyd. That was a fight that never materialized. That was a fighter that Floyd never took seriously or was even, too interested in stepping in the ring, because he never took the challenge of facing it at Islandi Lotta. And that's a fight that many people would have loved to see. But, he chose to fight guys like Andre Berto, Victor Ortiz, he liked to fight guys like Robert Guerrero, Marcos Maidana. And I think Lotta would have been a classic chess match that would have told us a lot about these guys' skill set. But, it is what it is. And, you also see that, Floyd, in one of the biggest fights that people say, well, Floyd, he beat Canelo Alvarez. Well, let's be honest, he didn't beat a prime Canelo Alvarez. He beat a Canelo Alvarez when Floyd Mayweather was the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and Canelo Alvarez wasn't even ranked in the top 10 pound-for-pound. So you got to think about it. You got a guy like Floyd, who's ranked #1 pound-for-pound, who's on the top of his game, facing a guy who's not even in the top 10 pound-for-pound. And on top of that, he put a catch weight on the guy. So Canelo was nowhere near his prime. So yes, you give Floyd credit for the win, but you got to put an asterisk by it. So you see that, the fact that, Floyd had these little blemishes here and there, you see that he was not a perfect fighter. And you know what? I think Terence Crawford would have put up one hell of a fight. I mean, even if you look at Marcos Maidana, he landed more punches on Floyd Mayweather than anyone ever had. And this is a very good Marcos Maidana, but he's still somewhat one-dimensional. This guy does not bring different dimensions like a Terence Crawford would, different looks like a Terence Crawford would, somewhat predictable. And Floyd beat him clearly and concisely in the rematch, but it was the initial match that brought so much trouble, so much controversy to Floyd Mayweather, and it gave Floyd a lot of problems in that first fight. And the fact that he landed more shots than anyone ever has, it kind of, lets us know, seeing that everything we've seen, that Floyd was not invincible, but he did pick a lot of the right matches at the right times, if we got to be honest and unbiased about it. And then you look at a guy like Terence Crawford. Even Floyd Mayweather says that Terence Crawford is the best boxer in the world, period. So if you stack up, Terence Crawford and say that he has no chance, to me that just doesn't make sense. I think Terence Crawford would have a hell of a chance. I mean, you could still favor Floyd to win. You could favor Bud to win. It doesn't matter who you favor to win, but to say that, Terence Crawford has no chance, to say that he can't compete with Floyd, that's just fanboy nonsense and narrative. At the end of the day, Terence Crawford is an elite pound-for-pound, top-tier fighter. Floyd Mayweather was the exact same during his reign. And, fighting guys like Marcos Maidana, Robert Guerrero, Victor Ortiz, Andre Berto, these type of fights, he was supposed to win in dominant fashion in all of those type of fights. Those were gimme fights. So let's just be honest and unbiased. Floyd didn't face guys with the skill set of an Erislandy Lara, the skill set of a Terence Crawford. None of those guys had those dimensions to their game. So I think that is what would challenge Floyd the most. But once again, unbiased as always, it's the IBFP.